For the longest time, I've had this belief that certain pieces of gear and accessories are just made for certain types of creatives. And this is more so in the context of seemingly more complicated equipment that were made for more complicated workflows. But recently, I've been seeing that more brands are making these equipment to be more versatile, to have more application and use cases, not just for the more complex workflows. Because again, equipment should have the user in mind in such a way that it should always make the workflow more efficient. One such applicable accessory are field monitors. So in this video, let's check out why a field monitor can heavily impact your workflow and make it easier. And at the same time, let's check out this field monitor from Viltrox. So this is the Viltrox DC550 field monitor, and I've had it for a little less than a month. And I was really trying to find all the possible scenarios that this can help me because, of course, it's an additional accessory. So sometimes you have to think whether it's going to be worth carrying around when you're shooting, especially when you're doing shoots outdoors. A few weeks into using this, well, I can give you 5 reasons why using a field monitor can make your workflow more efficient or at the very least more comfortable. Now, I'll put the most important one first. When you have something like this, you tend to make less mistakes. Why? Because this is a 5.5-inch HD monitor. The resolution is 1080p, and obviously this is much bigger than this. Now, when we're shooting, may it be for photos or videos, everything that we need to check should be on the screen. I mean, that is what the camera manufacturers are working towards, which is giving us a user interface that would be the most efficient for what we do. Because again, the reason why we get more expensive gear, the reason why we get more advanced gear is so that our workflow is more efficient and more assured. But the problem is, of course, they cannot put a bigger screen on these cameras because they would also mean more bulk, and not everyone might want that. But when we're shooting, whether it be for photos or videos, a lot of the things that we should double check, triple check, are seen on the screen. But the problem is if you're shooting from far away, like what I'm doing right now with the camera at least 8 feet away from me, well, there is no way for me to see the icons that clearly. But if we're using a screen that is double or triple the size of the screen on our cameras, well, there are more chances that we're going to see every single important icon that we need to see. For me, the biggest thing is I need to know that the camera is recording. And whatever is on the screen, especially that tally light frame that we have on the newer Sony cameras, will also be seen on the monitor. At the same time, there are 2 other essential things that I need to see, and it's the fact that, number 1, the focusing is tracking my eyes, and number 2, the audio is recording properly. With a 5.5 HD screen right in front of me, there is a better assurance that I am getting everything properly. Now, like most other field monitors, this comes with this attachment tool that goes right on top of your camera through the cold shoe, so that the monitor can be screwed on top of it. And of course, I'm pointing it towards you just so you see the monitor itself. So another convenient aspect is the fact that there are actually 2 ports where this can come in. So you can actually mount it horizontally or you can mount it vertically. Now, more importantly, reason number 2 is the fact that we are all doing vertical content. Now, there have been a lot of tripods and tripod mounts that have been trying to solve this problem. Now, one thing we all don't like doing is tilting the camera to the side because this is actually the most counterproductive thing when it comes to keeping your camera stable. And recently, in the past couple of years, they've been coming up with horizontal to vertical rotating mounts that are actually very helpful. So we don't really have to tilt the tripod head and risk the camera falling over. And that actually solves the problem Except the fact that when we do this, since the grip of most cameras are on this side, there is no way for it to turn the other way, which means that the screen of the camera can only flip downwards. And as you can see, I don't think you're able to see the screen from where you are. Now with a field monitor, you can also have the monitor rotate along with the camera. And even though this does have a bit of weight, it's not going to make the camera unstable because the ball head is not tilted to the side. So that's very important. But another thing that actually works better, in my opinion, is the fact that the ports on this field monitor are actually standard 1/4-inch threads, which means that you can also use accessory arms just like this one and use it to mount. So you can actually mount the arm on this side or on the shorter side right here. So if you want to shoot vertically and you want to keep the monitor on a certain angle and you don't want it moving along with the camera, or for example, you want it oriented a different way, for example, like this, then you can just use the arm as a way to be able to use it in different angles. Now, that actually doesn't only come in handy for content creation or videography, but for me as an interiors photographer, that actually helps me so much whenever I'd have to back up onto a corner with the camera almost in the corner and I need to see the screen from the sides or from below. So imagine shooting this way with the camera in the very corner of the room and you have the monitor kind of separately mounted on the arm so you can see it from any angle you want. Again, you want to be able to see everything so that you're sure that your framing, your composition, your exposure are good so that you're not going to have to make so many mistakes just to get the right shot. Now, another thing that I honestly don't do or use so much is basically the feature of shooting in log and using LUTs. And that's because I like to keep it more simple. But there are instances wherein I think those are more applicable, especially when you're shooting outdoors and you don't have control over the lighting and basically all the colors around you. And well, maybe this feature on this field monitor can make me more comfortable doing that. It's because not all cameras actually allow you to preview with the LUTs, meaning that whatever you're seeing on the camera is not the final output because of course the LUTs will be applied later on in post-production. However, this Viltrox DC550 actually has an SD card port right here that can allow you to upload the LUTs right here so that it can apply the LUT while you are previewing on the monitor. And again, this isn't something I normally do, but if later on I decide to shoot in log and color grade later on and use LUTs, then that's going to give me better assurance that my colors are going to look nice. And believe me, that assurance can help so much in reducing the anxiety that you have whenever you have crucial content that you need to produce. Now, reason number 4 is the fact that this actually has a lot of helpful indicators. As I said, the biggest thing is the fact that when I am recording, you can also see that red outline on the monitor that's telling me that the camera is actually recording and I am not speaking into thin air. But more importantly, the other additional indicators that are very helpful are, in my opinion, number 1 is this zebra line indicator that basically tells you when your exposure is clipping. And believe me, this is very helpful in situations where there are strong lights in front of you, just like there is a strong key light right beside me right now. These zebra line indicators tell you that you need to readjust your exposure so that your exposure is not clipping and you are not losing details and you don't have to do it over and over again. The other one, and this is especially helpful when you're using either manual lenses or lenses with very big apertures, such as what I'm using, the 50mm f1.8. This can also display focus peaking indicators, and that will help you make sure that whatever you want focused on is actually in focus. Again, at the end of the day, we're using this for better assurance. And lastly, reason number 5, it's actually very ideal for harsh conditions. And for me, number 1 is whenever I am shooting in very bright conditions, whenever I'm shooting against the light, the monitor does have a huge impact. Because even though the cameras we use nowadays actually have really good and really clear screens, sometimes they are not bright enough. Because if they were made to be much brighter in these situations, then the tendency is it would also take up more battery life. However, field monitors such as this one and others that are actually made to be used in such conditions have a few features that will make it easier to use and more feasible to use when you're shooting. And number 1 is the fact that this actually has a maximum brightness of 1200 nits. And that's much brighter than what any camera screen can put out. What are the implications of that? Well, it's a simple fact that if the light in front of you is bright, this can go a little bit brighter so that you can still see it against that light. Now, another feature that would be handy in those situations is the fact that it comes with this hood that will snap on very easily to the field monitor. After you snap it on, you press the button right here and flick it up, and the hood automatically expands just like that, basically allowing you to see the monitor much better, especially in situations where there is harsh light against it. Now, what I usually don't like about field monitors is the fact that they use bigger batteries than our cameras. They use different batteries from what we use on our cameras. And the first one I ever tried around 5 years ago did not even come with the battery, and it came instead with a power supply. So you would have to have it plugged in somewhere if you're going to use it. And if you're using that outdoors, it's not going to be much of a help. Now, the DC550 also uses an NPF battery that is bigger than the one on my camera, but the biggest thing is the battery is already included. Now, a bonus feature that actually allowed me to like this a lot better is the fact that you can charge the NPF battery itself with a USB-C cable. So you don't have to get a separate charger for the NPF battery, especially if you're not really a videographer or you're not really a filmmaker. You're a simple content creator just like I am, or you're a photographer just like I am. You don't need to get an extra charger for it because you can use any USB-C charger. At the same time, this also comes with its own USB-C port, so you can plug the USB-C directly onto the field monitor and you can have the other end on a power bank. So you can power it with a power bank directly without having to use the battery if you want it with maybe longer battery life than the already long NPF battery that comes with it. Now, I don't know about you, but it actually allowed me to reconcile with the fact that I'd have to use a different battery on the monitor because number 1, I don't have to buy a separate one. It came with the package, and number 2, I can charge it with anything that uses USB-C. Now, all things considered, I think this field monitor is going to be something I'm going to be using a lot here in the studio, especially when I need to shoot vertical content. And at the same time, if ever I need to bring this in my architectural photography shoots, maybe not my landscape shoots, but my architectural photography shoots, this is going to be very helpful, especially in the outdoor part. And there we go. Those are my 5 reasons why I think using field monitors can benefit your photography or content creation workflow. And those are also the reasons why this Viltrox DC550 field monitor can actually be of help to me personally and maybe also to you. So if you have any questions, do leave them down below in the comment section. And of course, if you're new to the channel, my name is Nicco Valenzuela. I am a landscape and architectural photographer and a content creator. And in this channel, I do a lot of gear reviews and a lot of tutorials. So if you are into that, then do click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. In any case, thanks for watching.